Mic check, 1, 2. All right, I think we're live. We are ready to go. Hello, everyone. I know it's kind of late on a Saturday night, but I felt like coming on here and talking about something that's on my heart. And I hope that those of you who are on get something out of this. My name is Ron Tijerina, and you are on my live TYRO channel called Uncuffed. And this is the thing that I've had in my heart for a long time to really talk about all types of topics, but really you see the sign behind me, success is never a one-man show. We've all have desires about reaching a new level in life, but there's some things that are holding each and every one of us back. I'm going to give you something right now before I get into my topic tonight. About the thorn in the flesh. There's a thorn in the flesh. And we're going to talk about what that means. For those of you who have ears, let them hear what I'm talking about. Those of you who have eyes, let you see what I'm talking about, right? So success is never a one-man show. And this is what this is about. We all need a cheerleader, right? You can see it says TYRO365.com. Check that out. Go check that out. If you're looking for some professional development, if you're looking for something to help you grow in your journey, in your field of interest, whatever it is you're doing, if you're looking for something that's going to help you hit that next plateau, right? Get to the next level in life. Check out TYRO 365. I guarantee you there's something there that will help enhance your growth. Again, my name is Ron Tijerina. Thank you for joining me tonight on Uncuffed. And tonight we're talking about embracing the thorn in the flesh, embracing the thorn in your flesh. And this comes out of the scriptures, right? This comes out of somewhere where a man was being taunted, right? He was being haunted and he was being persecuted, right? But I think, and he was, and I'm going to give you a key rule, and he was seeking God, Lord, get rid of this. Has there been any time in your life where you were asking the Lord, get rid of it, help me, overcome this? And that's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about this thorn in your flesh, this thorn in my flesh. What's the purpose of it? What's the purpose of this thorn in your flesh? So I'm going to ask you, I want you to be real with yourself. I want you to be transparent with yourself, because in order to really be set free and to grow in your manhood, in your womanhood, in the desires that you want to achieve, you got to be transparent with who? With you, right? You got to be total aware of where you're at in mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. You have to be aware where you're at in every area of your life, or there's going to be some stagnation taking place. There's going to be some deformity happening in your evolution. You're going to wonder, why is it that you seem like you're taking 2 steps back for every 1 step forward, right? Why is it that you're always tripping on your words or things you've been dreaming about? You just can't seem to get ahead in life. What is this thing? And I want to give you the at least my interpretation of what I believe. Right? You can take this for a grain of salt. Do your own homework. Do your own research. Do your own diligent studying of the things I talk about. Don't just take me at my word for it. Do your own work. Hey, but listen, man, I got my favorite hat on. Maui. Whoop, the other way. Maui, right? Maui, man, I tell you what. My wife and I, we had the privilege of going there last year, and it was an amazing experience. You ever get a chance to go to Maui? Go to Maui. Okay, I went to the rabbit. All right, check this out. The thorn in your flesh, right? If today I heard, let me tell you what I heard today on the radio, YouTube, wherever I was at. I heard that a lot of people are turning on Will Smith. Those people that claim to be his friend. Have you ever had that happen to you, where you made a mistake, where your business was put out there in the world, where maybe you were accused of something you didn't do? Come on. And then all of a sudden, all those so-called friends of yours, where were they, man? They were like cockroaches. Come on, right? Let me fix this headphones. I got to figure this stuff out, right? Right? Maybe they're like cockroaches. Have you ever had any cockroaches in your house? Do you know what cockroaches do when you turn the light on? Right? They scatter. They hide. They want to remain in the dark, right? Well, that's sometimes true with people in your life. When the light is turned on in your life and you're exposed for who you really are, you're exposed for all the garbage in your life, people will scatter. They will hide. Why? They don't want to be associated with you. They don't want to be affiliated with you. They don't want anything to do with you. At least others think that, wow, because they were friends, they must be doing the same thing. Or they were friends, well, they must have been known about it, condoning it, all that type of stuff. And it's further from the truth. right? Instead of running from Will Smith, instead of trying to put a wall between you and Will Smith, I'm going to challenge every one of you so-called people out there who claim to be Will Smith's friend when he was on top of the world, right? When he was doing great things, right? And you wanted to be in his car. Come on now. But now all of a sudden you want to jump out his car because his life is frail. His life is falling apart. Nobody's reaching out and, hey, man, listen, we can help you walk through this. You're going to have to go through this healing process. You're going to have to go through it. It's going to be tough, but we're not going to let you go. We're not going to let you go down this path alone. We're not going to let you go down this path, this destructive path, all by yourself. We're going to help you. We're going to walk through this healing process, but we got to deal with some issues. Instead of saying that, what are they doing? They're running, right? We all have fun laughing, talking about the first night, right? But now it comes time to, okay, so what now? What's next? Well, let me tell you, man, this thorn in the flesh that comes to us, just when you're always successful, one of the main purposes of having a thorn in your flesh is to keep you flat-footed. It's to keep you humble, right? Because as you acquire success, as you start to be able to purchase things that maybe the normal guy can't buy, right? Maybe maybe you got your own business and you're all of a sudden you're making it. You're making every note. You're no longer in debt. You're being able to do all this stuff. Well, you got to remember where you came from. Sometimes this thorn in the flesh, that's its purpose, to keep you rooted and grounded. Instead of fight against the thorn in the flesh, let me tell you what it is now here in a second. Instead of fight against it, we need to embrace it. We need to embrace the thorn in the flesh. So what is it? What is the thorn in the flesh? Well, where I come from, sometimes it's a label. Sometimes it's a label that has been put upon you, maybe from society, maybe because of your fruit that you were bearing, maybe because of your past actions, maybe because things that you said and done and people seen, and all of a sudden you got labeled that. Now listen to what I'm saying to you. And it doesn't make you who you are. It's just a label. You don't have to embrace it, but it's there because there was some truth to whatever it might have been, right? Whatever it was. Maybe you were an alcoholic, right? And that label, and then maybe you were doing some things where you can't be taken at your word, and now all of a sudden your label is, man, he's a liar, right? But then you change your course of action, right? You change your behavior. You change your attitude. But that doesn't remove the thorn in the flesh. You got to remember, it's meant to keep you humble. Man, success is a beautiful thing. Success is a great thing. But when it's gone to your head, you know what I'm talking about. When it's gone to your head and nobody can talk to you, nobody can teach you things anymore because it's all about you and you no longer are teachable. In fact, you don't even want to listen to all your mentors or coaches anymore, right? Because no one can talk to you. You have a big head like that and it's all about you. Well, listen, this is what this thorn in the flesh is about. It's about to keep you humble, keep you flat-footed. You're going to have all types of breakthroughs in your life. You're going to be so successful in areas of your life that you're going to be like, you're going to have this attitude, this like a social attitude back in school, right? Where your poop don't stink. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, that ain't true, right? Right? We know what poop smells like. It stinks. And guess what? So does yours. So quit thinking that you put on your pants just like everybody else, one leg at a time, right? But sometimes you get these trophies, you get these accolades, you get these pats on the back that just start to blow up your head. And I'm here to remind you that stay flat-footed. Remember where you came from. That's the purpose. Whatever it was that was holding you back. Maybe you used to be addicted to drugs, and now you're no longer addicted to them, and now you're doing great. Don't forget about where you came from. Don't let all that pass. Come on, because all of us have a story. All of us have a story to tell. Like I said, it doesn't matter what it is in your life, whatever that was placed upon your life, whether you did it or it was labeled. Now, if it was not true, don't embrace it. Embrace the true, right? You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe you were always a gambler. Maybe you were always gambling and you gambled away all your life savings and now your family and you are dead broke, right? You're broke in the addiction of gambling and stuff like that. But now let's say you had a quick turnaround, or maybe say you had success. Maybe let's say you got sobered up, right? And all of a sudden you were able to put your ducks in the row and you were able to get back to where you left off and you were able to take care of business. No longer addicted to gambling, but set free from that addiction. Well, don't forget where you came from, because what will happen is if you start to think you're all that in a bag of chips, right? When you start to think that you're better than everybody else, when you start to think that, oh my goodness, when you start to think you're untouchable, you're going to get up on that stage and you're going to slap someone. And guess what? You're going to be like Humpty Dumpty, came falling down the wall, right? Broke up in all those many pieces and nobody could put it back together. Man, well, we're not going to fall that hard, man. That's what I'm talking about. You might fall, but But I'm talking about the people. Run around people, support them, help them get back together. We've all fallen short. We've all made mistakes. We all need somebody to come alongside us and help us, like shake the dust off and tell us it's going to be okay. Now, that doesn't excuse any situation. It doesn't excuse any circumstances. When hurting people are involved, when you hurt somebody, when you did somebody wrong, you got to make it right. And it's going to take time. Time was the king of all healers, right? It's going to take time. Forgiveness is a process, right? Forgiveness is a process that can't be rushed. Forgiveness is a process that can't be rushed. But this thorn in the flesh, as you begin to really understand its purpose and the power of it, it will keep you so empowered and infused about reminding you, don't forget where you come from. Always stay humble, stay meek, right? Stay meek. Meek doesn't mean weak. I'm not telling you to be weak. I'm telling you to be meek, right? Man, there's a guy I know, his name is Jesus, and he was meek. He was not weak, right? And so when you stay in that state of mind and you realize that as you grow in life, as you excel in life, as you outperform your yesterday, right? Because that's who you're up against, right? Your challenge isn't against anybody else. You're trying to outdo yourself. Woo-hoo-wee, right? You want to be better than yourself today than you were yesterday, right? Because you're looking forward to tomorrow. I'm up for the challenge, right? I want to be better tomorrow than I was today. But what are you doing in the process, right? You're reading more books, right? You're learning how to communicate more effectively, right? You're sharing your story with other people. You're writing. You're forgiving. You're walking in kindness, right? You're doing things that is empowering not only you, but empowering others to walk in that type of attitude, right? And so as you become successful and you become to embrace that thorn, right? Now the question I'm going to ask you now, where does this thorn, how does this thorn in your flesh get created, man? I said it earlier, man. It comes with a price, man. It comes because you're working on becoming a better person. You're working on being a better man. It's the test of life that comes to you when you decide that, you know what, I no longer want to look at pornography. I no longer want to drink alcohol. I no longer want to do crack. I don't want to do opiates. I don't want to be addicted to anything else. I want to take my mental faculties and bring them under control. I want to control this physical being. I don't want it to control me anymore, but I need help. And once you start to say this, here comes the battle within. Here comes the warfare. Are you ready to fight? Are you ready to fight for something new within you? Well, as you begin to see this, because it's going to be dark where you're about ready to go. It's going to be dark where you're about ready to fight, right? Because the darkness in you isn't going to want to leave, but you're ready to expose it. You're ready to bring it to the light, and the light is really what's going to bring the healing. But as this process takes place, right, as you walk through this process, you're not going to run through it. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be ugly. It's going to hurt. It's going to convict. You're going to want to throw in the towel. You're going to want to say it's not worth it. You know what? Because my old ways is a lot easier to live than this new mindset, this new TYRO mindset. I don't want to live like a TYRO. I want to live like a lame. I want to live like somebody who's selfish. I want to live with my own selfish desires. But when you start to say, no more, I'm not going to think like that. I'm not going to walk like that. I'm not going to talk like that. I don't want to live like that. Here comes the battle. Now there's going to be a battle within you telling you, who do you think you are? You can't do this. You can't be successful. Nobody expects you to do this. Oh, you're trying to outdo somebody else? When you start to have that mind battle within you, fight that fight, man. Have that mind battle. Check that voice in your head. But then when that voice from in your head, you start to check your own self, your own doubt, your own disbelief, guess what? Somebody's going to come alongside you and start asking you, who do you think you are? And start coming to you. You'll never amount to nothing. They're going to come and remind you, don't you remember you're the same dude that was doing that last week, last year, last month? It don't matter. They're going to remind you of your history. They're going to remind you of your frailty. They're going to remind you of the mistakes you made. They're going to remind you of everything that's dark about you. But you got to hold true. You got to stand true. You got to embrace that type of ridicule. You got to say, you know what? You're right. You got to own your story. There it is. There it is. That's the secret. Owning your story is about owning the thorn in your flesh. That's what the thorn in your flesh is. Are you ready for this? I hope you're ready for this. Owning your story is the thorn in your flesh. No matter how ugly, no matter how sickening, no matter how perverted, no matter what your story is, guess whose story it is? It's your story. It's not my story. It's your story. I got my own story. What's your story? And when you begin to own it, when you begin to really look at it, when you write it down, and then you begin to take ownership of it, right? Watch this. This is when the breakthrough starts to take place in your life, right? You will no longer be owned by your story, because why? You own it. You're bringing your story all under control. You're getting all your emotions in check. You're not going to let your story, the fear of letting people know, the fear of what it'll paralyze you, the fear if they only knew they would never talk to me, the fear of that story. It's your story. It doesn't define who you are. Right? It doesn't define who you, listen to what I'm saying to you. You see, a lot of people will run through life so afraid, it's so fragile, because they don't want to share their story. And that means, to me, what I'm hearing them say is they don't own it. That means their story still owns them. They haven't been set free from their past life, right? They keep saying, that's not who I am, but they won't tell you, what are you talking about? Oh, nothing. I don't want to talk about it. That means it still owns you. It means it still owns that person, until they can say, man, let me tell you my story, man. I didn't get here overnight, man. I had a struggle. I had a fight. I had to go to war with myself. I had a battle that almost took me out. Almost destroyed everything I loved. Almost destroyed the people in my life. When they would run from me, they didn't want to be with me, until I started owning my story. And when you own that thorn in your flesh, when you begin to embrace it for really what it was, for what it is, man, you will find yourself in a place where people will then surround you with not only support, but believe. They will believe in something greater than in you, right? Wow, watch this now, right? When you begin to own your story, when you begin to share your story, you will empower others to begin to own and share their story. This is how you get free. You get that poison out of you. Get it out of you. It's in that darkness. It's in your darkest hour that you're going to find the light. It's in that darkest hour that this life that we've been talking about is going to be exalted, is going to manifest outward. But if you continue to be in denial, you continue to walk in anger and disbelief and grief and depression, and you continue to stay there, and you let your story bog you down because of shame, guilt, embarrassment. Now listen, those things, those adjectives that I just described to you, let them have its perfect work in your life. It's good to be ashamed, right, of ugliness in your life. It's good to be embarrassed, but don't stay there. Don't let it knock you down to where you can't breathe, you can't get up, where you start to suffocate, you start to die. That's not what its purpose is. Its purpose is to wake you up, to stand up and realize, I no longer want to go on this path that I'm on. I want to change course. I want to change direction. I want to change the way I see the world. I want to change the way I think. And this is how this begins. But you got to first own that thorn in your flesh. And by owning that thorn in your flesh, what I'm telling you right now is to own the story of your life. And if you don't believe me, try it. Try it. I promise you. Just try it. Don't take my word for it. Try it. Own your story. Take one day at a time. Look at your chapters of your existence. What part of your story you don't like, look at it. Own it. Get it under your feet. Do not let it control you anymore. And then you will start beginning to control and understand the purpose of the thorn in your flesh. You see, you're going to come into greatness. You're going to come into such success in your stories, but you cannot start thinking you're better than anybody else. You can't start thinking that it's all about you, because that's when selfishness and that narcissism will start to rise up again, and it'll start to put its ugly head, and then you'll fall right back to where you started again. I promise you. I guarantee you, that's what happens. You see, the spirit, or this thing called narcissism, all of us have a degree of it. Some are just really good at it, right? When it's all about you. It's all about you. Right? If you find yourself incarcerated, the root of incarceration, the root of that type of existence is because you're selfish. You see, when you find yourself in prison, instead of taking care of your business, it's because you told yourself, it's all about me. I want to do what I want to do. Who cares what my wife says? Who cares what my kids do? Now, you may not be conscious of it, but that's what we're talking about. Own your story. Own that part of your chapter, whatever it is. So nobody's going to tell you what I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. You know, we're talking about uncuffed. You want to be uncuffed? You want to be set free? Own the thorn in your life. Own the thorn in your life. Embrace it. Look at it. Examine it. And let it empower you. Let it cultivate something in you that is so great that it would launch your next chapter in your life. Your past does not define who you are, but it will qualify you for your future if you let it and you learn from it. Quit running from your story. Your greatest chapter will be written out of your own darkness. This is what I just said. Your greatest chapter of your life will come from your greatest moment in darkness. As you move from darkness into light, that chapter right there will set so many people free, will empower so many people around you. They're going to say, how did you do it? And when you tell them the truth, man, I own my story. I own my own truth. I own my experience. I own my highway. Boy, I got a couple notes here I want to share. Because what I'm talking about is, go check this out. I'm going to give it to you. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 6. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 6. Go look at that. Go look at that whole chapter, man. It's a powerful chapter, right? 2 Corinthians. You know, because before you come to know this thorn in your flesh, you got to realize you're broke emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and sometimes physically. You're broke. Man, have you ever been broke? Maybe you're broke right now. Maybe you don't know where to turn. Maybe you don't know who to talk to. Well, send me a message. Like this video. Subscribe to this channel. You know what to do. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted every time I go live. I don't want you to miss any more of this stuff. Share this with your friends. Share this with your family members. They need to hear this. They need to hear a way out. They've been looking for a way out, and they're not getting it where they're at. Share this video. I promise you it will bless them. They will be thankful that you shared it with them. Let them see this. Let them know, hey, here's a solution to our problem. Own your story. Hey, listen, I thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know it was late, but I appreciate you. My name is Ron Tijerina, and you've been with me on Uncuffed. Until next time, always remember, I am rooting for you.